Today I'm going to be taking a look at the all-time classic nerd favorite. I'm going to be taking a look at SimCity. So let's check out this great MS-DOS classic, and you guys can see why it's such an awesome game.
Alright, so this is SimCity, developed for PC and MS-DOS in 1989 by designer Will Wright and by Broderbond Industries. This originally came out for the Commodore 64. And I guess if you don't like the country you live in, you can always build a new one, right?
Again.
Oh boy, politics.
Each year
well,
on my
let's leave that out.
birthday, every American
So you
gets a
start
cupcake.
out by naming your own little town, and I'm going to give my town the name of Byteville, obviously, and you can select your difficulty, and the SimCity engine will generate a world map for you. Now this is very helpful when you start out the game because it shows you where all of your water resources are and where you can segment off different areas for industry and commerce and residential zones. So I usually like to pick an area that has a little bit of an inlet so that way I can start by putting a power plant there. You have a lot of different tabs for railroads, parks, houses, police departments, fire departments, airports, and the like, so that way it's easily accessible for you to build your city very quickly. So I'm going to start off here building the cheaper coal power plant because you only get $20,000 in resources to start off building your city, and after that they're not replenished and you won't be re-elected mayor and your game will be over. So the first thing that you want to do, which is very important, is setting up residential zones. They're the heart and soul of any SimCity town. Without them, you can't collect taxes, and your city can't run at all. So I like placing them in blocked segments like this, so that way it has a real city feel to it. You can quickly add roads with the Road tab on the side, and it makes it really easy to streamline them around your residential and other zones. Your roads are very important in how you lay them out, because otherwise you'll have congested traffic, and other areas of your city just won't operate correctly. Now let's hook up power to the power plant, so that way our residents have electricity. That's what the little blinking light on their residential blocks is for. There we go. We'll put in a police department and fire department, and pretty soon you'll see our little residents populating very quickly. Now let's go ahead and put down some commercial zones. These are very important because they affect the affluency of your SimCity and how well your residents like living there and whether or not they choose to stay or not. So this will be all your skyscrapers and more high-end jobs that will attract richer residents to your city and help generate more taxes. So again, we'll just pop in some roads, and like I said, I like to give it a nice blocked city structure so that way it's very easy for traffic to flow in and around the city, which is a real problem. If you don't engineer the road system well, then your citizens aren't going to hang around well. You always want to at least put one police department and fire department per blocked off segment, so that way your crime and fire risks don't get out of control, and they can, and that'll also cause residences and businesses to leave the town. So we'll add a few more roads here to make sure that that's connected to the other part of the town. And now we'll move on to some of the industrial complexes in the city. Now these are very important because this is what provides the bulk of your jobs to your residences. And if you don't have industry sections put up, your citizens will be unemployed and they will leave. You also want to make sure that these are put out of the way, but with good roads and transportation systems. If you put them too close to residential zones, it'll provide too much pollution, and your residents will leave because they don't want to live in such highly polluted and unhealthy areas. So we'll hook up the power here, and we'll get our industry section up and running. So this is going to be your warehouses, oil refineries, and things like that. So this is where the bulk of your residences will become employed at. In the drop-down menus, there's a survey that you can select that lets you see what your residents think about you, what the major problems are, and if you're doing a good job or not.
Show me potato salad.
As you can see, most of my residents think I'm doing a pretty good job. Housing costs and taxes seem to be the biggest problem, but pollution and traffic's under control, so overall they think I'm doing an okay job. Now, if traffic becomes a big problem in your city, you can add in a mass transit and a rail system. And these are really great because you can actually set up specific stops as to where the train will stop and start from, and even have multiple trains. There we go. Now that I've completed my rail system and it's completed all around the city, I can check out my evaluation screen And you can see that traffic's not even on the list at all. People are now even more pleased than they were before. You can add other amenities to the city to make the residents' lives better, including a football stadium, which I always recommend putting extra roads above and below because you'll get very heavy traffic once you put this in, and it really helps to make your citizens much happier because they don't really have much forms of entertainment otherwise. Place some parks here, and that'll really spruce up the place and add a few more commercial zones. You can also add in a naval seaport, and this is good because it'll help to bring industry to your city and you'll have more income coming in. You can also add a full-fledged airport, and this is great because you can not only increase industry and commerce in your city, but it'll also bring new residents to your city that might have more money and increase your population. Another game mode where SimCity really shines at is the Select Scenario mode. This is where you can choose different scenarios with their own unique challenges like earthquakes, monsters, and fires. The first one here is Tokyo, Japan, and this is challenging because Godzilla constantly attacks, and you always have to rebuild the city. Now, when he attacks, there's not much you can do except for wait it out and hope you have enough money to rebuild what he destroyed in your city.
Run! It's Godzilla! It looks like Godzilla, but due to international copyright laws, it's not. Still, we should run like it is Godzilla! Though it isn't.
This is one of my favorite parts of the game, and I just love letting him rampage around and destroy everything. There's other scenarios too, like in World War II in 1944, where you have to save your city from being bombed by the Germans. Again, it's just a matter of waiting it out, hoping that nothing too important gets destroyed and you can recover after the bombing's over with. There's even situations like the Great Earthquake in San Francisco in 1906. Now, most of these disasters are pretty much the same thing. They happen randomly and frequently during all these scenarios, so it makes it really hard to build your city if you're trying to progress and evolve it. And one of the most fun things that I love about SimCity is you can create your own disasters. Like you can have a tornado sit down on the ground and act just like the tornadoes from Twister, tearing up businesses and factories all over town and just wreaking general havoc. And if you're really feeling like you're in a fun mood, you can call Godzilla back in for round 2. I'm sure everybody's hard up for some cash, even monsters nowadays. You can create fires all over your city and select where you want them to burn if you just want to watch your town burn. Or you can even create floods to wash out highways and roads and make your citizens run for the hills. There's even an option for causing an air crash where you can cause an airplane to crash down into buildings or grassy areas of your city, causing explosions and fires all over town. This is where I always have the most fun in SimCity. Just building a city or selecting an already populated scenario and just letting havoc reign supreme. After all, sometimes you just want to sit back and watch it all burn. So overall, I think SimCity is a great game, and the later versions of SimCity 2000 and 3000 were much better in their own right, but I'll always like the MS-DOS Classic. There's just something appealing to it, even though I think that most of my citizens probably wouldn't agree. Hey guys, if you liked the video that you just watched, go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below, and if you do the Facebook or Twitter thing, follow me at #KingOfRetro. See you next time!